almost at this hour, we'll be swearing in a new president. And 49 days from today, we'll be conducting the election that will choose that new president. So for us who are preparing for this very significant election, this is a very significant day in terms of our countdown to Election Day and what comes after. A very important part of that here in Massachusetts is the Information of Voters booklet, which provides information to voters on the 4 binding questions that they're going to have before them in November. It's a diverse group of questions, as you can see from the titles, and certainly something that we want people to be well informed of. There is already a significant amount of money being expended on advertising on some of these questions, and so therefore surely we're anxious for people to have the opportunity to make sure they know exactly what the issue before them is. These booklets are required under our state constitution to be mailed out to each and every voter. And as you may know, the key part of the question, of course, is the summary that the Attorney General prepares, which is the same summary that the original signers subscribe to. In addition to that, we also have the full text of the legislation. And in addition to all that, we have arguments prepared by the proponents and the opponents of 150 words each. And lastly, which is probably the most significant part to each and every voter, is the one-sentence statement which will appear right above where voters will actually cast their ballot, which tells them the effect of a yes and no question. We hope that as these voters receive this booklet, they will give them the opportunity to consider these questions, to make the final decisions on the questions that will be before them. I have as a practice, included an application for voter registration, so that there will be an actual application contained inside the booklet. Since I have one, I might as well show it to you, so that voters can return this if they need to register or update their registration. That practice of mine, of course, predated our online voter registration, which is now in effect, so that voters will have multiple opportunities to register. It's also significant, I think, that this is sort of the kickoff of our final drive on voter registration. In the last 2 presidential cycles, we've had over 3 million ballots cast here in Massachusetts, which have been successively records. I certainly anticipate that that will probably be the case again. It's too early to project an exact number, but I think given the intensity of this particular presidential choice, the diversity of these ballot questions and other issues, I think it's quite probable we'll reach that. We have also seen, as we see every single presidential cycle, an increase in voter registration. It is a fact that many voters don't register except to vote for president and don't vote except to vote for president. So we know we have a large burden ahead of us always to make sure that everyone is properly registered. And for that reason, we emphasize voter registration, beginning with the presidential primary back in the winter, and now proceeding to this. This will be the final opportunity for people who wish to vote in the presidential election to register if they need to do so, particularly those who have just come of age or those who have recently moved. We are anticipating a very heavy surge of voter registration right through the conclusion of our October 19th deadline. And we certainly believe that this is an appropriate time to begin that final push, which is what we're doing right now. In addition, lastly, this year we will have for the first time early voting in Massachusetts. And as you know, this is a novel thing for us here in Massachusetts, but we feel as we've gone forward working with local election officials that we're getting better prepared. We think it'll be a great opportunity for voters to participate, hopefully reduce some of the lines that are likely when you have large voter turnouts, and we think that this will be something that will work out very, very well for our voters, and certainly for those who have difficulty standing for extended period of time, or those, and particularly for those who already know who they want to vote for and just simply want to do it. We're working closely with our local election officials. We've offered them a stipend to increase their hours of operation. We have applications currently working with them now to do that. We're particularly interested in having them offer hours on the only weekend in this period. The period is October 24th, November 4th, and we are encouraging them to have hours of early voting during that weekend. And many of them have responded very favorably to the offer of a stipend. So those are the big issues. The booklet has begun delivery. We anticipate delivery will be in the greater Boston area today in many places. We've been in close contact with the postal authorities to make sure they're promptly delivered. Delivery will then proceed throughout the state over the next week or so with the idea that we'll have these booklets available. In addition to mailing them, we'll also have them available at post offices and other locations where voters can receive them, and of course we'll be giving them out to voters, anybody who requests them. They'll also be printed in Spanish as a federal obligation.